Hi everyone and welcome to another video. My name is Jensa and today we're playing Lineage 2 Revolution again. What I thought we'd do is explore Deathly Fog Shores a little bit. If you've watched previous videos, I did a Gyron Dominion sort of monster tour when it first came out, and I thought I'd do the same for Deathly Fog Shores. I've been playing in this area for quite a little while now. As you can see, my level's up to 143. So I've been sort of in this area since 1:30 or so, getting ready to move on to the next one as I get up to around 145, maybe a little bit higher than that, depending on exactly what the next area looks like. But again, today I thought we'd do a monster tour of Deathly Fog Shores. I'm going to work from the Codex, so we can also talk about what cores you get as you're doing that. So let's go take a look at the Codex right now. And you'll see that we have 6 named monsters in Deathly Fog Shores. We have Lolani, Alfonso, Holst, Meadows, Luca, and Hector. Kind of looked at where they were located, so we're going to take them in a little bit different order here. We're going to start with Meadows, which boosts your penetration, lets you get through some of the defenses of other players, so that's always a good one to build up, especially if you don't have a lot of sort of knockdown or stun capabilities, or if you're going up against players who have high defenses, things like that. So let's go ahead and run on over there, and we'll take a look at what kind of monster Middies is, as well as what some of the mobs around them are. As you can see, I did get the Steam Beetle, which was a reward for doing some open siege events. Really enjoying those. It is a little bit random, a little bit frustrating if you get on a team of 30 who isn't really working well together. But those times where you get a pretty good group and you're working all together to complete the goals, that really helps a lot, and it's really a fun time if you can get in with a group of your clan mates and things like that. It's really great. So we can see Meadows is kind of not here right now, waiting for her to spawn. I'm going to run around the area a little bit and show you the main mob to get her cores is these degenerated lesser giants. The cores drop probably one in every 10 or 15 kills, maybe. If you're lucky, you can get them a little bit more commonly than that. But you're just going AFK in the area for a while will build those up pretty quick for you. And again, these are for penetration. As you can see, there are quite a few people farming in this area right now, which tells you it's pretty popular core for them to be farming. These are level 140, so a little bit low for me to be farming right at the moment at my current level, but I do need some of these to fill in my codex. If we go back and look at Meadows, the picture, you can see that it's a very similar to monsters you've seen in some of the dungeons if you've played in Kruma, things like that. And very similar to Luca in appearance as well, only some minor differences. In fact, Luca is the next one that we're going to go take a look at. I don't believe he's too far from here, so let's just go ahead and duck out on this area and go over to Luca. Let's see. Not sure exactly how far away Luca is, so let's go ahead and grab the Steam Beetle so we can get there pretty fast and not waste too much of your time. Keep an eye out on the surroundings as I run through. Some of them are pretty interesting. You've got some glowing plants, some different kinds of mushrooms and ferns and things like that. I do like a lot of the artwork again, and this one kind of similar to some of the benefits or some of the things I said I liked about the Gyron Dominion. I really like the way they've put together these new areas. I think they all look very good, and I think that there's a lot of beautiful work done here. So here we go. As you can see, Lucas, sort of this stone amalgam kind of thing, and we're going to see how we can do. Let me go ahead and buy some soul shots just so we can get through this a little bit quicker. Pretty sure I can take him without the soul shots, but again, don't want to waste a lot of time here. Try to move through from one to the other. We do have 6 of these to look at and go through. If they are spawned when I get there, I'll try to fight them a little bit for you. well, maybe Luca is a little stronger than I remember. He is 146, so that's 3 levels higher than I currently am. Um, Maybe need a little bit higher combat power, but I think if I just dance around a little bit here, I should be all right. Um, Timing your pots and your auto attacks and things like that can really let you take on some monsters that are a little bit higher than otherwise. So there we go. We got Luca down. We got a core. You can see the mobs in Luca's area are these anguished lesser giants, and again, very similar in appearance, very sort of put together the same way with minor differences. So let's see who's next on our list. Oh, in fact, before we leave Luca, let's go into the Codex. I forgot to check what kind of stats Luca's cores are going to give us here. Um, Luca gives us resilience. So, depending on what kind of character you play, maybe you don't need that quite as much, but always good to balance out your character as much as possible when you can. All right, so next we're going to go to Hector. As you can see, Hector is sort of this beast creature with claws and fangs and things like that. So let's go ahead and take off and go see if we can take a look at him in real time. Let's see. So we're going to be running through, some of the ogres. Hector very much looks like these creations of the lesser giant. Um, Hopefully as the game moves on, they will give us a little more and more of the lore of it. Um, if you read through some of the dungeon descriptions and things, you can get a little bit of that, as well as if you sort of pay attention to um, the main quests as you go. In this area, sort of there's an archaeological expedition where they're trying to learn about some of the history and figure out kind of some of where these creatures came from, and where these what some of the backstory is to some of this. So I hope more and more of that. I really do like the lore sort of element to these types of games. So I hope they reveal more and more of that. Wanted to zoom in a little bit here. I do like the way these lesser giant creations look. I think the textures and everything are very nice. They just have that sort of mean animal, kind of crazy, mutated look to them. So I really, again, enjoy a lot of the artwork that they've done with this game. We're going to zoom out again and see who our next monster is. I think I had um, Holst up next on the list, so let's go ahead to the Codex and take a look at Holst. Now, Holst is interesting. Holst is a sort of armored soldier with a big spear or something of that nature through his chest. And again, his mobs look very similar to him. That's pretty common in the game for mobs to look similar to the named monster that they're gathering around. I have done quite a bit of farming around Holst. Um, Again, I'm sorry, let me stop this for a second and we're going to jump on the beetle so we can move around faster. I don't think these bugbears are really going to aggro on me right now, so that shouldn't interrupt us too much. And with Holst, we're going to get our max MP improved. So that is a very good one. I'm not sure why I haven't done more farming around him and gotten his Codex filled out a little bit more. Really, what I've been doing lately, to be honest, is going back and getting some of the really lower level Codex complete. Um, when I first started playing the game, cores didn't drop quite as often as they do now. It was a little bit harder to fill some of that out, and you move so quickly from, East Talking Island to Gluto to Dion and all of that, that, the Codex kind of fell behind. It wasn't something I really concentrated on, which I may be doing a little bit better now had I concentrated on that more. But I'm going back and filling those in now. So some of my later ones, these new areas, the Codex is behind, but I'm working hard on it. So I'm confident at some point I'll catch up in filling those through and be able to work more on these. So you can see again what I'm talking about here, sort of these dead-looking armored soldiers with that have been pierced through their chest. They kind of not only are impaled while they fight, but they kind of fall back onto it. They look similar, sort of to the warriors that you see when you're fighting Varkaron, if you're familiar with clan dungeons. Um, he has these sort of same looking warriors sometimes that spawn as either ads or that you see when you've defeated him, that sort of thing. Um, There are wandering dead around here as well. Your main source for the cores for hosts are going to come from these dismal shouts. Um, as you can see, they are fairly easy to kill at this level. When I first started farming this area, they were a little tougher. I really didn't want to take on more than one or two at a time, but as my character's grown, that becomes a little bit easier. So it's another thing to keep an eye on, not just what stats you want to improve by filling out your codex, but what can you pretty easily kill enough at a time to not waste a bunch of your time trying to get just one or two cores. Um, I kind of talked about in another video when I was talking about farming experience, the kills per minute are the experience you can gain per minute. Same kind of thing applies to getting cores. If you can, hunt something that has maybe not necessarily the stat that you're looking for, but can get you a lot more cores, in a given time period that you have to let the game run, you may want to consider doing that instead of going for always the top stats. That way, when your character improves a little bit more, then you can go after those and really get them, more efficiently. So after host, we're going to go look at Alfonso. Alfonso is one of the zombie pirate group. He's down by the docks, so we're going to go ahead and walk over there. Um, and take a look at him. One thing I like about Alfonso is that there's quite a large area where his mobs are that you can hunt for cores, so it becomes a little bit easier, especially when there's a lot of people around. You can kind of find an area to yourself where you can fight him, fight those by yourself and get the experience in cores. Alfonso I have found sometimes to be a little tough. I'm not sure quite why. I think, he has a couple of attacks that hit pretty hard. So at times I have had to dance around him a little bit, as I call it, and maybe run in circles for a second or two um, to survive long enough for another pot to come through. Again, I'm now at that level where I can take him without necessarily having to do all of that. Um, and as you can see, I was able to do that there. His main cores come from these shipwrecked zombie pirates, and I believe again those are giving us max HP. That is one thing, as you see right here. If you're not careful, my auto attack took me into these Validus. Those are not going to give you the cores for that. His are a little more off to the east over here near this bridge, even beyond on the other side of the bridge. That's where you're going to find his mobs. So it's not always about just setting yourself where the named monster is and letting it run wild on the auto attack. Sometimes you do have to be a little careful about what area you start your attacks in to make sure that you're getting the cores you want, especially if you're going to go AFK for a while. So now we have, I believe, only one more named monster in this area, and that's going to be Lolani. Let's go ahead and find Lolani in this list. Um, she's the, I say she, Lolani strikes me as a female name, so she's the jackal or hyena type character. Um, you get your defenses, which is always a really great stat to have. As you can see, I've gotten Lolani up to level 4, so it's something I've been working on. Let's go ahead and run over to Lolani and jump on our Steam Beetle here and get going. Um, and it shouldn't take us too long, I believe, to run to Lolani. The area where Lolani is right now is actually the area that the main quests had me working a lot in before I hit another stall from 141 to 143. I'm sorry, to 144. So being at 143 right now, about a third of the way through, I'll hopefully break that wall a little bit later today and be able to do a few more main quests. I remain a little disappointed in the main quest at this level. Again, they're only giving you, about 40% of a level, and you really, I mean, within 10 or 20 minutes, you've gone through all of the ones available, and it jumps up another 3 levels. So they're not necessarily as useful. You do get some pretty good rewards from them, but the fact that they remain so few of them per level really kind of disappoints me. That's something I'd like to see them improve, maybe add a few more storylines per area, something like that. And once again, Lolani is not here when we show up, so we're going to go ahead, and you can see there's somebody who just showed up and looks like it's waiting for her. But we're going to go ahead and run up here, and these old Mahoums, if you've played the game a little bit, you see these pretty early on in the game, and they remain a thread throughout as far as a type of enemy or an enemy group that you're going to be dealing with in the main story quests, and obviously you're farming throughout. You can see this is another area where there's quite a few people farming right now. Again, it's a really good stat to have. At 136, it is one of the lower level mobs in the area. So that has caused me to kind of back off from them a little bit, even though I like the stats. I've been fighting things to give me a little bit higher experience and things where it's maybe not quite so crowded. Um, so those are the named monsters and the mobs in their area that give you their cores. If you're not quite up to this level yet, I hope that gives you an idea of what you're going to be looking at when you get here. If you notice, that took us mostly all around the archaeologist camp, the harbor a little bit, as well as down here at the bottom right-hand corner below the Misty Forest. If you go up into this area right when you come from the Gyron Dominion, it's a lot more animal type things. Whoops. If we look, I meant to stay on the monster tab. I don't know why I clicked that, but if we go and look, you can see that there's these, let's see, where are they? So the pirates are obviously all around the harbor. The Wandering Dead kind of fill in the gaps in between. Right when you come out the trade route here by the Gyron Dominion, you're running into a lot of these animals, the cougars. There's some bears, I believe. This list isn't in any particular order, so I'm sorry if it's taking me a moment to find everything and go through it. So the hungry red bear, savage red bear, the couple of different types of cougars, as well as some of the other things like the mystical weavers and things like that. That you see are again in sort of the kind of connecting areas, don't really drop important cores or loot or anything like that. But if all you're looking for is XP and quest scrolls, things like that, they are there. If something that's a little easier for you to kill, a little more appropriate to your level, they can really help you out. So I hope you've enjoyed this tour of the Deathly Fog Shores. I'm going to keep working on leveling up my character, and before too long I'll be moving into Devil's Isle here. Again, I haven't even come run through this area yet. I'm kind of holding it off until I get a little bit higher. You can see these are around 150, 156. The lowest is 146, which we can handle right now pretty easily. It's sort of the higher level where we are right now, and the lower level in the next one. So as you can see in that area, it looks like there's going to be a lot more of these Zaken mobs, whether the pirates or something else. The succubus come back, and we have 4 named mobs in that area. So in a little bit later video, once I level up my character a little bit more and I'm pretty comfortable taking on 150, 156 level mobs, we'll go ahead and move over to that area, hopefully do another tour, and if I notice anything particularly interesting or new or specific loot that drops, we'll go ahead and do that. I am going to have to move to this area pretty soon, obviously within the next 2 or 3 days, no matter what, because I'm gonna hit that 150 level within about 3 days. I'm gaining 2 to 3 levels a day right now playing, so 7 more levels will be 2 to 3 days for me, and we'll move on to that next area because 150 is the next subquest scroll level. So again, I hope you enjoyed the video, seen a few interesting things, gotten a little advice on where to hunt for what, and what the Codex will give you for each of those monsters in this area. And I look forward to seeing you in a future video. Have a great day.